Hello there, everyone. Hello there, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. Give a few more. Let me see. Put the link in the comments. Hello, everyone. I'm going to put the link in the comments. I'm learning how to work this thing on my own. Whoever is on, hello. If you would like to come on, you can. Putting the link in the comments pretty early on. I got on. We're going to talk about Jojo Splat. We're going to talk about Jojo Splat and CEO Bobby. We're going to talk about Jojo Splat and CEO Bobby and the charges that they have. The charges that they have and what I think is going on. What I think is going on, and everything is allegedly, you know. As far as those charges, the reason I feel like those charges were they gave him the reason those bonds are so high. You know, with CEO Bobby, with CEO Bobby and Jojo Splat. Okay, a lot of people affiliate them with this Dolph's case. And it's not that people were picking on them or anything like that. People affiliate Jojo Splat and CEO Bobby with this Dolph situation. Number one, how ironic is it? How ironic is it that when Dolph was murdered, CEO Bobby, Jojo Splat was on Instagram trolling, right? Being disrespectful as it relates to Dolph. So people zoned in on that, right? So it's not that people are trolling them and trying to insert them into something just because they inserted themselves into something. Dolph's murder was fresh, and it's like I don't know why, but it's almost like they wanted us to believe, if nothing else, that they knew what happened and had some type of affiliation with it, right? Now, I'm going somewhere with this. That's what they wanted us to believe. Okay. It wasn't until I don't know who they thought they had behind them because they had a lot of balls at that point, right? Evidently, somebody was giving them a false sense of security at that point, and they was just blatantly disrespectful and bold. Okay. Now, when the heat started, the internet is undefeated, period, point blank, period. Okay. So when the heat started getting too hot, as young adults who probably ain't had a lot of experience in nothing, especially life, would do, they started kind of folding because people was coming at them. It kind of backfired on them. And so then we the there we saw that they was at least affiliated with a white Benz that looks like the white Benz that was used in Dolph's situation. Now, what I want to do is since I just expressed that, I want to get into the charges, right? Now, looking at CEO Bobby's and looking at Jojo Splash charges, it tells me quite a bit. It could mean quite a bit, you know. Um CEO Bobby's bond is $325,000. His is significantly a lot more than Jojo Splash, right? But JoJo's bonds are 50, they total of $50,000. Now, it tells me when I look at the dates on those different charges that they they put different dates on these warrants that he had. It tells me with the different dates on these charges that the police have been watching him. Okay? Because he's got about 4 or 5 different charges. That's why you see a total of different amounts, but they all total up to about $325,000 because all of these crimes were committed at different times. They just got him right. They just he was just arrested, right? Okay. So with a bond being $325,000, because I look at all of those charges, right? And they could have easily given him, they could, because they didn't mischarge him, but they didn't have to give him all those charges, but they didn't mischarge him, right? It shows me it could be a strategy because number one, there may be some type of affiliation with another case, and they gave him every charge that um they gave him every charge that was associated with what he did because they can't do that. And they're going to see because a $325,000 bond, which is what CEO Bobby has, that means somebody is gonna have to come up with $32,000, right? 325, yeah, about $32,000. Yeah. Now, I don't know a lot of people that's got $32,000 at their disposal, right? I don't know a whole lot of people that has that, at their disposal. So could it be a strategy? Could it be a strategy of the investigators to see who's going to go and bail him out? We know CEO Bobby, we know CEO Bobby and Jojo Splat ain't got no $32,000. We know a lot of those little dudes that are in their immediate circle don't have $32,000 at their disposal. So who's going to come up with that $32,000 to go get CEO Bobby out, right? So then Jojo Splat, who was born in 2002, a little younger than CEO Bobby, his charges are a total of, and all of this happened at different times. His charges are a total of $50,000. So somebody's gonna have to come up with $5,000. So the reason I say this could be a strategy of the police, even though they did this because I was looking at, and I had looked at it 3 times. I was like, okay, because at first I thought it said conspiracy. I will pull it back up. Conspiracy. I don't want to take. I should have already had it up of something for $250,000. Because I was like, is that 25,000? And then I had to count the zeros 1, 2, 3, 4. Because if it was 25,000, would have been 3 zeros. I said that's a charge that JoJo don't have, but CEO Bobby has. And I'm like, what kind of conspiracy would he have? And I'm gonna pull that back up, y'all. Let me go back to, because I want to read it to y'all, right? Because that was very alarming. That's why I say, y'all, it's something more sinister that's going on. Okay, it's something more sinister that's going on, and and it ain't that nobody is trying to put anything on them, because in my heart, because of the type of person I am, I would love to see these young men have gone on to do great things because there's and if they're not affiliated with what we think they are affiliated with, they can, right? Because anybody can change their life around. I hate to see young African American men wrongly guided. Be quiet, Remy. Okay. So I'm going back, y'all, to Joshua Hewlett's charges. I'm looking at his charges right now. He's got a charge that says conspiracy, theft of property greater than $250,000, theft of property greater than 200, conspiracy. So either they're involved in a chop shop ring and they're changing VIN numbers, which you already know is straight up Fed time. You in a chop shop ring and you changing VIN numbers. That means for them to give him that type of a charge, they linking him directly to something. Okay, they giving him that type of charge, and he's involved in something, and he's because 300 shoot, they somebody was changing somebody might have been changing VIN numbers. Okay, it could mean a lot of things, but conspiracy, theft of property greater than $250,000, y'all. What could he have possibly stolen that was greater than $250,000? Because you see where he's been charged with a lot of, and I'm looking at CEO Bobby stuff. He's got theft of property, 2,500 to 10,000. That's probably a car. Theft of property, $10,000 to $60,000. He's got several of those. We know that's a car, right? Those are expensive cars. Now, when you start looking at $25,000 to $10,000, I don't know if that was a car or not. What probably happened was because when you see theft of property $10,000 to $60,000, that's probably a car. He's got several of those. But when I saw that $250,000 and conspiracy, okay, that means he was involved in planning something. He ain't getting out tomorrow. But what's going to be interesting is they put that bond up that high because it's a total of $325,000. Who's going to? We know they don't, but who's going to have $32,000 sitting around that is accessible to them that they can take over to a bonding company and get them out? Okay, because even if they go and funnel whoever got it, well, you go get Bobby out because we don't want him to talk or something like that. If it's a friend or anything like that, whoever go bond the person out, that still is a direct trail because they're gonna start looking at them, and people ain't willing to go down. Okay, people are not going to be willing to go down just for taking money to a bonding company. Okay, folks are trying to preserve themselves. Okay, because they understand that there is something more sinister that is going on. Now he's got evade and arrest. Now I looked at his little face, and it looks like he been squared up a little bit. Looked like he was touched up. He got a little bruise on his nose. I don't know if they crashed the car. That could have happened, but I saw where he had several charges of evade and arrest. Now I don't see why, because in looking at these charges, one of the charges says intentionally evade arrest in auto, but the rest of them say just evade and arrest. And I do know that resisting arrest and evading arrest can be somewhat similar. So if he resisted arrest, we already know the officers whooped his butt, right? Which might be the reasons why he's got those bruises on him, allegedly. I don't know. But if they would have put resisted, but why if they put evaded arrest and then in one of the charges it says evaded arrest in an auto, why didn't they put those charges for in an auto in all of them? I think it's kind of strange that he got that bruise on his nose and bruise on his head. Somebody probably resisted and excessive force had to be used. That's probably, I don't know if that's true, but that's probably what that is about, okay? So as I look at these charges, y'all, all of these charges, and let me tell you something, they didn't have to, because one charge could mean so many different things, right? It can, but it tells me that they have been watched for a while, and the charges, they put as many on him as they could as it relates to what he did, because they didn't have to. They could have just put some on him, but they put every charge that related. They could have been a little lenient on him. It's their discretion. They didn't do anything wrong to him. They put every charge as it relates to what he did. They charged him with everything on the book as it relates to what he did. That's why when you see people get lawyers and you see their charges, drop sometimes they're able to go and work out some stuff with the judge and get some charges removed, because they go, dog, he had this charge, that charge, but that was dropped, because the attorney will go in there and say, well, these two charges are similar. Can you just remove this charge and charge him with this one charge, because they're the same? And sometimes, depending on the judge, that's what will happen, right? So it tells me that the police it's something else that's going on, okay? Something else is going on, and they're seeing who's going to come up with $32,000 to go and get him out of jail. And why would somebody want to go spend $32,000? Why would somebody want to go spend their $32,000 to get another man out of jail? Why would they want to do that? Okay. Unless maybe they are a part of what is going on. They want to hurry up and get him out so he won't run his mouth. Because as we have seen, these two have been really they've been the ones in the beginning. They were the two to run their mouths, right? They were the one talk about Big Soulja, get Big Soulja on. Shoot, they were the ones. It's not anything the people on social media did. They put themselves out there on social media. Okay, they wanted everybody to know that they knew something. They wanted everybody to know that. And then when it started getting hot, because I can't understand, even if they just wanted a rap career, you don't affiliate yourself with or align yourself with any murder, especially of a famous rapper. Okay, that's how we know a lot of these little kids, these younger kids, ain't working with everything. I'm talking about in their brain. They just ain't working with everything. You don't want to align yourself with anything like that. And then they had several breakdowns, okay, on social media when it started getting too hot. See, I was looking at Jojo Splat had a page that I kind of watched because I would see his moves. See, he was born in I would see his moves. I've worked with the youth, and I would go, he gonna break any day. He ain't handling this too well, because even if you look at the interview that he went on with the, I can't think of the young man's page. And now let me just say this: that young man has a lot of followers and he has a big platform. I know that he gets paid on YouTube, but oftentimes when people allow you on their platforms to promote what you have going on, what they don't tell you is a lot of these rappers are paying them. They don't just put them on there because they're popular. Sometimes they might, but a lot of times they are paid because they are promoting their stuff. That's just like advertisement. Where would Jojo Splat get that from? The money from to even pay anybody. I'm not saying that he did. Could have been because of all this media frenzy. The young man just wanted him on there. And even then he was shaking like a leaf. I'm gonna tell you something. As a mother, that broke my heart. I knew at that point that he was not handling what was going on well. Who in the world with a conscience, a human being, could see a 19-year-old boy who was involved in something like this, where he was sitting out on something, trying to be grown, want to be grown, just barely an adult, being misled by other misled young adults sitting on there shaking because of his nerves. And as a mother, as a person who want to see our black men do well, how could I not feel bad? Even though I hate what has happened to Dolph, Lord knows I do. I hate that better than anything. But how could I, as a mother, as a black woman, that understand that black men are needed, they are the future, how could I not feel bad about that? And he's a young boy, barely out of high school, 2000, born in 2002. Child, please. I had already had all my babies by that time. So, of course, I so what I think now, because his charges, Jojo Splat's charges, are $50,000. And then, too, as I was saying the other day, Jojo Splat was on an interview. He was just sniggling like a just like a junior high school boy. And they asked him about CEO Bobby. He said, well, people don't understand, the CEO Bobby is my best friend. Everything he taught me so much, everything I know is because of CEO Bobby. And he said it with sincerity. So it makes you wonder, where is his mother? Where is his father? You see what I'm talking about? Because he's at an age now at 19 where somebody with the right influence could catch him up and steer him in the right direction, especially since he is really intrigued by somebody like CEO Bobby, who ain't that much older, who out there, he got charged with a conspiracy, $250,000. That means whatever that was, he's right in the midst of planning it. So, I mean, if somebody go get him out tomorrow, that's going to be a good thing for the feds, because they're going to be right on their tails. Okay. You never know why the charges are that much. Now, I know because when I knew that the feds was involved in this case, I already knew that there would be some justice served, right? As I said, I don't now, but I had worked for the police department for 18 years. A total. I worked at MPD, and then I went over to the sheriff's office. Okay. And I've been gone now for about 3 years. So, but all of my friends are still over there. So that's why I know when you talk about MPD, there are a lot of new investigators. A lot of those investigators, like, yeah, I won't say their names. Those are investigators that I was a PST with when I was working MPD. They're now, and I'm so proud of them. We all work traffic together. Okay. So that's how long ago they've worked hard. Now they're sergeants. I know that they're new, and a lot of people go, well, a lot of those, because a lot of the old heads have retired out. Okay. And but here's the thing, a lot of the new sergeants that you see, they still have some of the old heads, like Tony Mullins. Caroline Mason is not over in homicides. She has not been over homicides for a very long time. Caroline Mason is a lieutenant colonel, I do believe, and she's over a precinct somewhere else. She's not over the investigative unit, and she does not have any influence over the investigative unit. There's another colonel, I forgot who it was, but Caroline Mason has nothing to do with the investigative unit. I want to say they said Caroline Mason is the colonel over the Southeast precinct, which would be around the Orange Mound area. Southeast is around like the Orange Mound area, Airways, um, over there by that cookie shop. Now she's over that precinct, and here's the thing: that precinct is right up the street from where Dolph was shot at, over there by the Army Depot, if it's still over there. That's why I can't understand. You know what I mean? Like, you kill somebody and he's right over there. The precinct is right up the street. It's back a little bit, but it's up there, right? So, as far as the cookie people, so I'm gonna get back to that. I sat back and I watched that, right? I watched it. And every now and again, my friends would say something about the case, not give out too much, and I don't ask them too much because I understand with an investigation. But when I have friends that are my some of my closest friends, that this case was hard for them, that work right over there in homicides, okay? And they would say some things that, and they would go, man, they would say a little stuff, which is why I might know a little bit. But I don't act, I know this is an ongoing investigation and the feds are involved, okay? The feds are involved. And I told you early on, when the feds are involved, that is because there's something more sinister going on. And more than likely, it is the feds got involved because it was a murder for hire and the payments were made over state lines, which means if it was a murder for hire, whoever paid them from over state lines, which don't mean anything because people live in Memphis move outside of Memphis, okay? So it don't mean that somebody in Memphis didn't do it. It just means that they probably ain't living in Memphis or something like that. Or maybe they never lived in Memphis, okay? Because when Jojo Splat and them were on this ain't nothing I'm making up. When Jojo Splat and them were on the um thing talking Instagram, they said get Big Soulja on here. He needs to give us at least about 5 more grand. That's something they said, right? That it's not anything I'm making up. They put Big Soulja in that. Okay. Now, as far as the cookie shop, I keep trying to get back to that. In the very beginning, I didn't think that anybody at the cookie shop had anything to do with it because I worked over there for the police department for so long. I understand how it works as far as the media. I used to be sitting right there in the midst of that when high profile cases or any murder case would happen, and the media would be calling and the investor and they would be going, we got to go on, we're going live in 10 minutes. The news reporters would do anything for an exclusive. And because it is an ongoing investigation, the investigators could not give them an exclusive. This ain't nothing nobody told me, I'm talking to them. And they would say, if y'all don't tell us, we're going to have to fill in the blanks. Can you just tell us something? Tell us who the investigator is. Man, we can't do that. I don't look at the news to this day, not hardly. Every now and again, it might pop up on social media. I might click it, but I don't look at the news because I know they misguide and mislead and they lie because they don't know and they have to make it look good, okay? A investigator cannot give a news reporter any vital information in a ongoing investigation. The news media ought to be ashamed of themselves how they lie and mislead people. When I was working over there at the police department, I saw how they had names wrong, they had faces wrong. They would say this person did this, and that wasn't been more the person's name than a man in the moon. And we'd be sitting up laughing and going, wow. You see what I'm talking about? And then with this situation, it's so many people that have been questioned, that have been detained, that are being protected. They can't give out information anyways. You see what I mean? So when with the cookie shop, and then sometimes they will give the news media misinformation to protect those that are helping them. Okay. They will give misinformation to protect people. So when people say, "Well, the news said this," I don't believe. I'm telling you, I don't look at the news because I was over there too long. I know what go on. Okay, so with the cookie people, in the very beginning, I didn't think when people were saying, "Well, their stories don't add up," and I can't understand people. Why won't they show us what's on the camera? You know damn well they weren't going to show anything that was on the camera because number one, it was no longer their stuff. It was the property of the feds. Okay. So they could not show you what was on the camera. They're not going, you probably would never see. They would never mess up an investigation just to shut up a um curious public. This is a ongoing investigation. So at first I was kind of thinking, I was like, well, the public should understand that the cookie people can't tell them anything. And then when the stories, people were saying, Maurice was saying, well, I wasn't there or whatever. I was like, well, maybe the police told him that, because I already know the investigators would say, don't tell the news media nothing. Do not give them vital information. Even when they did that interview, I'm sure they talked with the investigators, and the investigators told them what they could and could not say. That is understood, because they don't want to get in trouble for interfering or messing up a investigation. You give out too much information, you will mess up an investigation, because the people that did this and is behind this is watching this harder than the bloggers are, okay? So you don't give out information to give them the opportunity to strategize. You don't give out information to give them hints so that they can go and take out anybody that may be helping the police, okay? So, one of the things that, okay, so I'm gonna go back to the cookie shop. I sat back and I listened, and I know a lot of people said that they was involved. And so I was like, well, I'm not, you know, I- and I know, you look at that, that's a African American business, and I've been in there several times. Okay, I like the butter cookies because they taste like the cookies that we used to get in junior high school. Okay, I like butter cookies. So I didn't go in there all the time because Airways is not an area I grew. I have family that lived on Joy Lane. I'm not scared. That's considered South East Memphis, but it's really South Memphis still, because Castelia is on down a little bit on around. South. I grew up in Clementine until I was 12. Anybody from Memphis already know where Clementine is. Okay. So with that being said, and then I had family that lived off of Parkway. That's the deep heart of South Memphis, around Bulletin and Roanoke and Parkway, Mississippi, places like that. That's like the deep hood. So I was always around those areas. So even when I was doing traffic, and people would go, we had Rex over there, and you had, especially if I was I had white other white traffic officers riding with me or whatever. They would go, I sure hate to be over here by Hamilton. I would go, oh shoot, please, this is where I grew up at. These are my people, you know. But getting back to the cookie people, the only thing that bothered me, even early on, even when I was like, well, I know the investigators have told them not to say anything. The only thing that probably bothered me was, and it has always kind of stuck out in my mind, was when I heard Raven say, and I'm not accusing Raven. Lord knows I don't like falsely accusing people. But it bothered me when I heard her say it was fast. My dad said it was fast. It's something about that. And it could not have meant anything. My dad said it was fast. And then her dad turned around and said, I wasn't there. Now, it could not mean nothing, because the police might have told him, or he might, because for his own safety, he may have changed it. You see what I mean? He may have changed it for his own safety, because he may have changed it. And then I heard Raven do another interview, and she called, somebody asked her about Jojo Splat, and did she think that, if and now I'm, don't quote me on this, but it was something to the effect of, do you think that Jojo Splat was involved in this? And she said, Splat, I don't know about Splat. When she said Splat, that kind of bothered me. Okay, they call his I guess his street name is Jojo Splat, but then she said Splat. That kind of bothered me a little bit, okay? Because I'm like, okay, why was she, they call him Jojo Splat. Only the people that are around him call him Splat. You know what I mean? That are really familiar with him call him Splat. But see, Memphis is not that big. And I'm sure that they may have been in that I don't know. Just because a person knows somebody or may be familiar with somebody does not mean, because Memphis is really small, it does not mean that they had anything to do with anything, but I would have to say those are probably the only two. And that was on the news. My dad said it was fast, and it's kind of hurting us a little bit. So that lets me know when she said it kind of, but she never said that they really knew Dolph, right? She never said that they really knew him. It just kind of let me know that they didn't know him. They didn't know him. Okay. So then I guess one of the other things that is, when he was on the video, right? And I'm just saying these are just things that was just kind of alarming to me. Cause like I said, I never said, I always said I didn't I always said I never really believed that they had anything to do with it. But I never said that I didn't know who they employed in that cookie shop. Okay. I never said who they employed in that cookie. I never said that whoever was in that cookie shop didn't have anything to do with it. Okay. Because I don't know who their employees are. They said they had a young lady that had just started 2 weeks earlier. But when you saw Dolph on that video, and it could have been because she was trying to promote their cookie shop. But the young man, she said, and if you think about it, she had given us said, I heard people say she said she had never seen him there. Okay. And she always wanted a picture, but he never wanted to take a picture. So maybe she saw him there that day and she was a little starstruck, but he was clearly uncomfortable, and he was in a plain white truck. He was clearly uncomfortable on that video. Okay. So now she said that the young lady that was at the front desk, I mean at the front cashier, that saw everything, they asked her, this was kind of alarming. Well, how old was the young lady? She said 23 years old. If you think about it, Memphis is small, and I'm not saying the young lady had anything to do with it. Memphis is small, and Jojo's what's his name? Justin Johnson is 23, and a CEO Bobby is 22. So, and all these kids probably hang out in the same places and kind of know each other. So, if you notice, I always say I don't know if the owners have anything to do with it. It's just I don't know why when she said my dad said it was real fast. It was just something. It was fast, as if he didn't suffer. They did it quick. You know what I mean? And I'm not it's just something that was kind of alarming to me about that. It don't mean anything. It was just it didn't sound right. You know what I mean? But it could not. But just because it didn't sound right, don't mean it ain't right, right? But that was just kind of alarming to me. The fact that her dad has changed his story to the public means nothing. We don't know what he's said to the police, because the investigators, that's all that really counts. What they put in the media, that means nothing, right? Because they don't have to give us the truth. They can change it 150 times to us, as long as they don't change it, as long as they have an understanding with the investigators, because that's what really counts, right? And that's what a lot of people don't understand. As far as that video, I understood that video would never be shown. Raven them couldn't show that video if they wanted to. If not, unless they want to be down there and they want to go do some federal time, because it belonged to the feds. And you better know, if they had tried to show any video, them feds was gonna get at them, because now you're interfering, even though it is your video. Now this is a murder investigation, probably a murder for hire. We're involved. We are we own it now. You see what I mean? So I never did think anything about that. But it was always weird that, and they probably may not have had anything to do with that. I'm not saying that they had anything to do with him being followed, because his car stood out. The boy was in a what, $300,000 car. Anybody could have spotted him in that car and followed him. Memphis is Haterville, okay? Memphis is Haterville. I was listening to another Puffy's ex bodyguard. He said I can't understand why rappers will wear $1 million worth of jewelry around their necks, but won't pay a bodyguard about 60 grand a year to protect their necks. And that made a lot of sense. But I'm gonna tell you something. Dolph was in his area that he grew up in, okay? He was there to give out turkeys, especially in that area. He helped a lot of people in that area. He thought he was safe in that area. He thought that the people that he was breaking bread with, he was a little naive. I have to say he was a little naive. But he felt that the people that he was breaking bread with, even if they wouldn't allow somebody to come into their area and take him out, because these are people that he was breaking bread with, a lot of them, okay? He represented excellence in that area. People was proud of him because of what he had attained in that area. He didn't think anybody would allow nobody to mess him over like that, when he really should have kept a group of people around him to protect him, professionals at that, because he had the money to do it. So I would say, in that sense, even though he grew up in Memphis, he was a little naive, because especially when there had been an attempt on his life several times. Okay, I'm sure he came home quite a bit. And my I have a cousin who is related to Key Glock, okay? And she always says, we never even knew when they came home. So it seems to me that Key Glock wasn't really even living in Memphis, okay? She said we they didn't tell us when they came home. We didn't know until we saw them. They didn't announce when they came home. Okay? So that let me know Key Glock was probably living outside of Memphis, that he might still have a house here, but he was kind of living outside of Memphis. So as I listen, and I can't understand with me why Raven is constantly doing interviews. You know, somebody, her sister posted, the one that owns the Butterific, that pray for her sister because somebody tried to run her off the road. You know, why would somebody want to run her off of the road? You try to run people off the road when you're either trying to scare them or kill them. Why would somebody want to do that? And that is because it is getting closer. You know, I had said, and I know I'm just getting into a whole lot of stuff, because I watch this case very closely. I do. I said that people think that Jojo, I mean that um Justin Johnson, which is straight drop, they said, well, he got a public defender. No, he has a court appointed attorney that is a private practice attorney. The court appointed him because he didn't have the money, but the government pays him, but he is a private attorney. And he gave him a private attorney because the public defender's office either didn't want to take that case because they ain't got the time to represent him. That was probably a blessing. That was a blessing. He don't realize that, because with that attorney that he has, he is good with making deals and getting his clients less time. But when I say make deals, that means that Straight Drop ain't gonna be able to keep his mouth closed. He's gonna have to work with some people, but he's good with getting them, because Cheryl Wright should have got death. She had death on the table and she should have got it because she was the mastermind. Okay. But he was able to get her less time than even the people that did it when she masterminded it and was there. And she'll be out in about 20 years. So then I went and I looked at, I know I said I didn't know a whole lot about Cornelius's attorney. So I started doing some research because I work with attorneys. And I started doing some research, and I called some people and I asked them about, I believe his name is Show. And I said, well, what do y'all know about him? Because I never really heard of him. They said he's bad to the bone. He's an expensive attorney. I said, really? They said, yeah, he's quite expensive. So either somebody gave Shoal, and these are other people that are around that knows attorneys like I do. So either somebody paid him a lot of money, about a $20,000 or $25,000 retainer's fee. And when I say retainer's fee, that's just to retain him. I ain't talking about what it's going to take in the course of this whole trial. Or he took it pro bono because of the media frenzy, okay? To get free publicity, because high price attorneys or attorneys will do that. They will take cases pro bono so that they can get um the coverage in the media, because every time they go to court, the media is going to be in there. And I see now, and I don't know, because it depends on the judges, because I don't know if the case has been moved. Some judges don't like the cameras in their courtroom. Now, I have a TV show here in Memphis. I can go sit in the courtroom as the media, but I ain't gonna do it and cover this case, okay? But some judges will allow reporters to come in with their pen because they can't keep them out. They can come in and take pictures, but some of them just don't like cameras in their courtroom. And also, their attorneys may have requested, because I'm sure their attorneys are watching everything that's being said in the medias and what's being said, and they know that there has to be a jury here in Memphis that is going to decide their fate. So I'm sure whatever they presented to the judge was, we don't want any prejudice against our clients. This got everybody covering it on YouTube. It's being covered in the media. We don't want any prejudice. We know we got to have a jury from here out of Shelby County to sit over there, 12 jurors to decide their fate. We don't want cameras in the courtroom putting their spin on nothing so that people can be all over YouTube talking about he looked this way, he looked guilty, that and that. And we don't know if the jury, it will influence them if they look at anything. They're not supposed to look at anything. So that might be the reasons that the camera, we just, because they can't keep the media out all the way, can they just take pictures? Reporters just take pictures and then report on it. I'm sure, and they probably requested that because their clients, asked them, can they keep the cameras out of the courtroom, um, but if the prosecutors go back and say, if there's another judge or the, they might end back up in there, because it's at the judge decides that, right? But with Jojo Splat and CEO Bobby, there is something more sinister going on. When I saw those balloon charges, they did not mischarge them. They did not, but they gave them every charge that was affiliated with what they did, when they could have gave them one or two, and it all would have meant the same thing, right? But I don't think they want them to be able to get out tomorrow, and they may have a reason for that. And then Bobby is caught up in something that it says conspiracy 200 and conspiracy. Let me read that again. Conspiracy, theft of property greater than $250,000. What do y'all think that means? I know I've been talking and going on and on. If you all want to get on here and say something, if you all want to get on here to say something, you definitely can. I know I've been talking, because sometimes I can talk and I can go on and on and on. But I would like for you all to say something. You can introduce yourself if you want to get on here. I put the link up there. Definitely and introduce yourself and let me know who you are. You could definitely do that. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. But you are, even with all of this going on, Dolph was a young man who was, taking care of his family, who loved his children so much, who had a bright future. They took all of that life away from him, whoever did this and whoever was behind this. You think about Jojo Splat and CEO Bobby, even with Straight Drop and Cornelius. And I'm gonna tell you something. I think Cornelius is playing chess. Everybody had their focus on Straight Drop. Straight Drop ain't doing too bad, because Straight Drop's attorney is even better I believe he's worked more high profile cases, and he's been able to get his people the better deals. Okay, he's been able to get his people really good deals. So it's all going to depend on them. But I think Cornelius has been playing chess. Not to mention, you know, the young man that is in let me plug my computer up, y'all. The young man that is in Indiana, he doesn't even want to be brought back to Memphis. Why do you think that? What would he be afraid of? Why would he want to stay in Indiana? There's a reason for that. He sat and drove around from state to state in that car with Straight Drop, and it looks like Straight Drop was picked up at a gas station. It ain't. I always felt that was suspicious. Did Shondell get tired? He realized, well, I ain't really got that much to do this. I don't want to get in any deeper. He gave somebody his location for them to come and get them, and that's why he don't want. And he was actually the one, because he was tired of running. He didn't want to get shot down, because when you become a fugitive, the marshals can shoot you down like a dog. He understood that, and I'm sure he had his family pleading, "You ain't got nothing to do with this. Why are you driving him around? You got to have more loyalty to yourself and your family." So who dropped that location? They was caught at a gas station, because I believe the stuff that was being uploaded, as far as Straight Drop, somebody is still working his page. So whoever was uploading that stuff was already uploading it. I don't believe it was him. They was sending he was sending stuff to them, and they was uploading it. Now, if it was his girlfriend, like people on social media is saying that is working his page right now, it's not to say that the feds didn't tap in, because he was a few. I'm sure that they're able to do quite a bit to her computer. And if he was sending her stuff and get his location, but I would rather believe that Chandel, the reason he does not want to come to Memphis. Why wouldn't he want to come to Memphis? He's trying to get them to keep him in Indiana. And there is a reason for that. He sat in that car with Straight Drop all that time. And I'm sure Straight Drop told him a whole lot. He as far as we know, he didn't kill nobody, as far as we know. So allegedly or supposedly he didn't. So, even though he was riding him around, don't you think he's going to do whatever is necessary to get less time? He don't want to go do life. He don't want to go do 25, 30 years. So he'll cooperate. So there is a reason that he wants to stay in Indiana, and then they're cooperating and keeping him there. So it seems like they might be working with him a little bit, because they are keeping him there. It's some people on here. If you want to say something, say something. You know, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. But with Bobby, CEO Bobby, with CEO Bobby, and with Jojo Splat, there is something more sinister going on. Like I said, there's something more sinister going on. I do know that Jojo Splat said that CEO Bobby is his manager. Lord Jesus. But hey, if they was doing things legit, I'd be rooting for the brothers. I do. Yeah, I'd be rooting. I've worked with the youth, okay? I be wanting to see our black men do good so bad. I do. I be wanting to see them do good so bad. But all of this stuff that's going on, Dolph's murder was senseless. And it's because young men like them were sent out, and they thought that it was funny. Now, if Dolph's people were their ops or whatever, shouldn't they have had sense enough? Shouldn't somebody have been coaching them to say, "Look, we don't get in that," but instead they got on Instagram and implicated themselves, and I'm prone to believe that they was probably involved, because they was just too, they're too stupid to get on there and say that and not be involved. Lord bless their little hearts. They are. Every move that they've made has been stupid. And that's why I say I don't think that Soulja Boy is out of the clear, because these boys had a false sense of security, and Soulja Boy jumped on live with these boys. These are boys nobody knew. Nobody knew them. We don't know them. We never heard of them. They ain't arrived in Memphis until this Dolph stuff. And Soulja Boy, somebody outside of Memphis, jump on live with them. He has since tried to disassociate himself. He has since tried to. And I see he's saying a little slick stuff now because he might think he's out of the clear. But he wasn't looking too good for a little while either. Soulja Boy wasn't. He wasn't looking too good for a minute either. So I have not completely eliminated him because those boys, they are too silly to try and misdirect the police. They thought that they had did something as far as talking about or just pretty much knowing what had happened in that situation. They thought it was something until the internet started getting on their tails. And then they couldn't take the heat. They started having nervous breakdowns because a lot of the people that they thought had their back that nobody knew about had started disassociating themselves with them. And they realized as young kids that they was really on their own. Now, a lot of people think with Straight Drop is in a bad situation. He ain't in no bad situation because his lawyer is really a good lawyer. Now, it's going to be interesting with Cornelius to know if somebody went and paid his lawyer that $25,000 retainer's fee, or if his lawyer taking it pro bono or pennies on the dollar for the publicity, because that can happen. But I'm sure the feds are on top of that too. Okay? Because if it was a murder for hire, the people that sent them out at this point either don't care because they know they're going down, or they're doing all they can to try and pacify them so that they don't tell just everything. And to make a long story short, I truly believe in my heart, and I could be wrong, allegedly, that's why those charges are amped. They got all those charges on CEO Bobby and Jojo Splat. Because y'all, guess what? Dolph was killed in November of 17. Ever since then, it seems like Jojo Splat and CEO Bobby has had a chain of bad luck because the police has been on their ass, and they've been on it for a reason. They've been on it for a reason. $325,000 bond, and then you caught up in some conspiracy that is $250,000 and over. What in the world is that? What could that be? So that's how I know that they're sitting there. They want to see who's going to come up with $32,000 to come and hurry up and try to snatch Bobby out, because they have breakdowns real quick. I'm going to tell you that right now, because I was watching their Facebook pages. I was praying for them too. I was, because they're young boys, but I was watching them. They was having breakdowns on the regular. So they ain't that strong in the mind. And you know why they're not that strong in the mind? Because they have not had the right types of representation around them. They have been misled as young men. Okay, I ain't gonna get into that preaching today because y'all know how I am. Be quiet, Remy. But I think it's something more sinister, y'all. I do. When I saw those charges, I know that it is something more sinister that is going on, and they got those charges on them, and they're gonna sit there. They want to see who's going to come up with that type of money to get them out. They want to see who that is. Number one, that could be one of them. Number two, they want to see how long they sit there. The longer you sit in jail, the more you be willing. Sometimes you be willing to talk, and then you never know. They probably already got them. You see, they like to run and evade arrest because they're already putting some packaging up some more stuff that they've done. They're probably getting ready to be charged with some more stuff, y'all. You never know. You never know. But anyways, does anybody have anything that they want to say? It's been some people on the whole time. I would like to know who you are. I know a lot of people. I was telling somebody, I was like, I think people don't like to, they get onto my lives and they don't really like to say, please, Remy, Remy, please. Yeah, my dog is so spoiled. They don't really like to say who they are. Um, I think I know the reasons why, but that's cool though. We're all on here commentating or whatever. And I look at the other bloggers, and I've seen some bloggers, and I go, Lord, especially I think sometimes, Remy, stop it. Get up here. I think sometimes people, you know, it's I'd be so happy to see people make money. But I think sometimes people have kind of stepped over the line. I've seen people with their commentary, and they're trying to do what the police do. And with the feds being involved, I've known where feds have gotten, especially when they've stepped too much into investigations. It was a lot of people don't know they was on the verge of getting charged for interference of an investigation. You can commentate on stuff, but when you start interfering, that's something else. And then too, you have to understand, like, this is a high profile case. The police, I'm sure they got their witnesses. People say that they want for Dolph to be his murder to be solved, but then you want to go and expose some of the witnesses. How do you think the police can solve a case? How do you think that Dolph's family can get justice if people want to make money and they're going trying to find out who the witnesses are so that they can try and expose them? That's not right. And so that's why I said it was a lot of people on the borderline of probably getting their channels struck and going doing some time, because now you're putting witnesses' lives. A lot of it wasn't nothing but lies, anyways. But you're putting people's lives in jeopardy, and you can't do stuff like that. But anyways, you guys, since nobody wanted to get on, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get off. I may get on again tonight. I've been on for over an hour. I want you guys to have a good day.